It's a deep mystery. Why does God send torrential rains to flooded areas, yet allow parched ground to remain dry? The mystery deepens as we consider our frailty. When weather turns violent, we are reminded that God is all-powerful and that our time is short. Today, more on God's responsibility for what we like to term natural disasters, like the recent Asian tsunami. Stay with us. From Chicago's Moody Church, this is Running to Win with Dr. Erwin Lutzer, whose clear teaching helps us make it across the finish line. We're in a series on 10 Lies About God and why you might already be deceived. Today, Erwin Lutzer is speaking on lie number 6, that God is not responsible for natural disasters, and he points us to the Bible.
Look at the direct teaching of Scripture. The Lord does whatever he pleases in the heavens and on the earth, in the seas and all their depths. He makes clouds to rise from the end of the earth. He sends lightning with the rain and brings out the wind from his storehouses. He does whatever he pleases. Let me ask you a series of questions to stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance. Who was it that was in control of that flood during the time of Noah and prescribed how long it was going to rain and the depth of the rain and its intensity and when it would go away? Who was it? God. Who was it that sent the plagues to Egypt, the darkness that could be felt and the great hailstones? Who was it that prescribed that and commanded? Who was it that caused the earthquake and the sons of Korah fell into it? Expressly, it says, God says, I'm going to open the earth and these people are going to fall in judgment. Who is it that sent the storm during the time of Jonah? Boy, we sure don't have to guess at that. It says in chapter 1 of Jonah, verse 4, and the Lord hurled a great wind upon the sea. Who did it? God did it. Now, what about some of you skeptics? You say, yeah, but I am still not sure. All that you need to do is to walk with me in a thunderstorm, and your theology will become precise and biblical. Because if you were walking in a thunderstorm with the lightning dancing at your feet and sizzling overhead, you would pray just as fervently as I, proving the fact that at the end of the day, you do believe that somehow God is in charge of this, and if you can get his ear, maybe you'll live. Of course, God's in charge. Now think back over all the instances that I gave you. What is the common thread through most of them? It is that God was judging people. God was judging people. Now, this is very interesting and incredibly important. In the book of Job, and you may turn to that if you wish, it's chapter 37, there's a man by the name of Elihu. Elihu is so theologically accurate and so brilliant that some people have actually thought that it's a pre-incarnate manifestation of Christ. I mean, Elihu, you know, Job's friends, they can't solve the problem of evil, and Elihu is a young theologian. He's waiting in the wings, and he can hardly wait to speak. And when he speaks, you ought to listen, because I tell you, Elihu really was on the money. You'll notice in chapter 37 of Job, I pick it up at verse 6. He says to the snow, fall on the earth, and to the rain shower, be a mighty downpour. And if God says to the snow, fall on the earth, it falls. You'll notice I'm going to skip to verse 10. The breath of God produces ice, and the broad waters become frozen. He loads the clouds with moisture. He scatters his lightning through them. At his direction, they swirl around over the face of the whole earth to do whatever he commands them. Is that control or what? But notice verse 13. He brings the clouds to punish men or to water his earth and show his love. Well, that's interesting. He uses clouds to punish men. Just ask Noah whether or not God uses clouds to punish men. He sure does. When he wants those clouds to give out all of that water, all those buckets and torrents of water, he uses them to judge men. But the same clouds In a different context, he uses to water the earth, to refresh the earth, and to show his love to man. There you have the two purposes of nature and God's relationship to it. On the one hand, nature reveals the judgment of God. That is, the convulsions of nature, those disasters that we're talking about. On the other hand, nature also reveals the love of God, the beautiful sunshine, the calmness that we can enjoy, and the beautiful trees and the heavens that declare the glory of God. And nature reveals both characteristics of God. In fact, if nature in its fallenness did not have that negative side, that side that reveals God's judgment, it would be giving us a misunderstanding of God. There you have it. On the one hand, you have judgment. On the other hand, you have love, and nature reveals both. Does this mean that whenever people are in a natural disaster, it means that they are being judged by God? Hold it. Don't ask that question yet. We're going to answer it in just a few moments. You must be careful not to draw a false conclusion based on other passages. But for now, I just want you to see that God is in control. Nature reveals his love to us. Indeed, he sends rain on the just and the unjust. And nature also reveals his judgment of a cursed world. Let's go on to question number 2. Question number 2 is, can we charge God with evil? I mean, look at the devastation in Turkey. Look at what people have gone through, and God is in the heavens, and God commands, and it is done. Now, is God to be spoken of as doing evil? Well, we must be very, very careful here. Tread carefully. Let me begin by saying, number 1, the rules that apply to us most assuredly do not apply to God. They don't. For example, if a little child were in a swimming pool and we didn't pull the child out and we stood there and watched it drown, saying, well, the child fell in of his own free will, so why should I bother pulling him out?